Hey, I'm Jane. I have seen it all at Mighty Networks, over 5 years of looking at communities and optimizing them. And today I'm going to be looking at a real Mighty Network and reacting to what I see. If you want to learn how to launch and grow a successful community with high member engagement, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to be joined by Chris. Chris is a YouTuber who talks about religion and early Christianity, and he wants to bring his YouTube audience into a Mighty Network so they can connect with each other. Today, I'm going to react to how his community is set up. We've got Chris Cornthwaite here, and he's graciously agreed to let me roast his community to heck and back. So welcome, Chris.
Thank you. I'm really nervous now, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh, gentle. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay,
and I think
good.
it's appropriate for faith and spirituality that we have like an angel devil thing happening here.
I'm the devil. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your community and what you're building and why you're building it.
So I've been doing this kind of stuff on YouTube. YouTube's been going really well, but you probably know YouTube's not all that great for monetization, but also doing YouTube videos is very lonely. So I wanted a space that I could bring some people together and we could have conversations and I could share what I'm working on. So that's the vision, and I'm really excited about it.
Great. Tell us a little bit about the name of your community and the types of people you're bringing together.
Yeah, so the name it's a weird Greek word, skepe, and it just means like a shelter, basically. So that's the idea. Like it's faith and spirituality, but it's a lot of people who want like a safe place to explore different ideas about faith and spirituality. A lot of us have religious backgrounds, but have unpacked some of that and have different perspectives now on things. So I like the fact that it is a safe place to have big conversations. And it is about personal spirituality, but it's also like I have some training in the origins of Christianity, like as a historian. So it's also people who want to nerd out on the history of Christianity a little bit too.
I feel like Chris is being too humble because I believe you actually have a PhD. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do have a PhD. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Dr. Chris here today
Oh, there
in
you go.
Christian theology.
Yeah.
At Mighty, we talk about the concept of an ideal member. And what we found is it's not about just being specific about this person and niching down, but it's really important to identify the transition that they're in. So they're moving from A to B, or they want to explore something in front of them. How would you describe the transition that your ideal members are in, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have a lot. And it was hard because sometimes like this stuff when you're just learning and growing can be a little more obscure. So I worked through Gina's ideas with like a year in the life. And I thought like next year, this person, I want them to be comfortable talking about some of these big historical ideas that they've heard about and don't necessarily know. I want them to know how to express themselves around some of this stuff, including like their own religious journey. And yeah, just to have a lot of great engagement with the people who are the best in the world at this.
I love that. And I think we can get into the product and kind of show you where you can put that so the software can also learn it and help you kind of refine it further. It sounds like the transition is really one where somebody is at a certain point in their faith and wants to express it differently and unpack it, as you said, which I think is really strong and could totally result in a pretty significant transformation. With that being said, why don't we go into your network? You can pull it up and we can poke around. I believe you've already set up quite a bit and you have some members in there.
Ew, yeah, let me show you. Okay, this is it.
Right. First of all, I love your branding. You leaned into the ancient Greek with the mosaic, and I think it looks really sharp. And tell us what we're looking at here and talk me through how you've thought about structuring the spaces in this community.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a welcome and a tour space. I wanted like a start here, and I have a little video walkthrough of the community here. I thought a lot about like communities I've been in, and I just want it to be really intuitive when people come in and they can figure it out right away where to go. So I did a tour and then I linked off to all the spaces here with a little explanation of each one. So community activities, I wanted like a living room, like a main kind of discussion area. I also have a second, we should talk about this because I'm curious about this, but this is the big question. And I wanted to have one space for these like big kind of ongoing discussion questions we can have every month, but just to organize it all in the same place. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about is like how to organize all this. And then the book club is actually not really a book club, but I interview scholars. I'll get to that down here in a minute. So the book club is just an invitation for people to read the book of a scholar that I'm going to interview. So then we come to, I have this hands-on research stuff. So this is where I do the research for my videos. This is a video I posted yesterday, and then this is some of my kind of ongoing research. So I'm hoping to just like talk through what I'm doing, and I'm hoping members will get involved and ask questions and give me ideas. I have an office space here for other people's questions. And then I created this challenge space. You know, like when you start a community, sometimes the tendency is to over deliver, but or want to over
Yes,
deliver.
absolutely.
Again, like you can give me some feedback and let me know if I'm overdoing it here. But I just wanted people to have something they could work through that gets people into these challenges. So this is self-paced, but it just invites people to read through an ancient text, ask some questions about it, and hopefully post some comments on the side. And then I have some outside scholars in the field that I know. I have scholars on my YouTube channel sometimes too. I wanted people to just read together. So it's less of a scholar like talking at people. I'm hoping we can just read it together, react, ask questions. And then I have a YouTube channel and I have a podcast too. So I interview scholars on my YouTube channel and podcast. So I'm going to give people like a backstage pass to some of these interviews to watch.
I love that.
So yeah, so I'll do these in the community and they can ask questions too. And the questions will not go on my YouTube channel. So it's a little bit of a, like an extra way to get a little bit closer to scholars.
I love a couple things about this. One, I love that you're taking what you're doing on YouTube and thinking about how you can share a little bit more here. So not necessarily more work for you, but bringing people into your research, bringing people into maybe what's coming next that someone just subscribing to YouTube wouldn't see. I think that's a really smart way to leverage the work you're already doing and also give people a different experience. I think there's a lot of YouTubers who either just share the YouTube work they're doing in their Mighty Network, which is like, I can get that on YouTube,
Yeah.
or they're like, I got to make a bunch more content for somebody in my community, which is just extra work for them. So I think you're doing the middle path, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I do have thoughts, Chris, on your community setup.
Mm-hmm.
One of the principles that I like to encourage people to start with is you actually want to give people fewer spaces for a much richer experience.
Mm.
And it eliminates some of that self-doubt. I think about anytime I've traveled to a country that has a subway system in a different language, just that feeling of being in the station and, oh my God, like, where do I go? People are going past me, like they seem to know what they're doing. That person who's like in the Japanese subway station, like that's your new member. They don't know what the rules are, what the etiquette is, what they should post here versus there. And so one, it keeps things simple for them. And I think it also makes sure that your first members don't miss each other. So can we go to your main community space?
So this is I called it the hub.
Love it. Great name. So I love that you have just one feed here. One of the most common mistakes I see people do starting out is they have a space that has an activity feed and a chat right next to each other, which again is like, as a new member, I don't know if I should post something in the chat or if I should post something in the feed. So I like that you've kept it simple, but I would encourage you to just have this be your main feed for questions people have, for announcing your monthly theme. You can always use hashtag a featured post to make sure like your monthly themes are right there in the right-hand column so people won't miss them. There's also some things you can do with like promotional banners to promote your monthly themes. But I think doing that is a better way to make sure maybe somebody asks a question here that would have originally been in a different space and somebody who comes here wouldn't have seen it, but now that they can see it, they can chime in. You're just going to have more people bumping into each other. And you said something interesting around, I want to be organized. But ultimately, we have great search. People can find what they need. We have ways of having featured content and getting things in front of the right people. I would put as much as possible in one space. The one thing I think you might keep is the video workshop, where what I would do is probably have that just be only you can post, but other people can comment, because that feels like a real focused, different kind of experience than like this living room where everybody can kind of party together.
That's a good point, because that was one of my questions. I've run networks in the past, and like I do have a tendency to like make too many spaces, because I'm like, we're going to talk about this over here and this over here, and then you have 3 people in each space and not any engagement.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense. Okay, that's
Yeah.
that's a really good action point.
And I think again, like just when people are coming in for the first time, they know exactly where to go. They know what is okay to post here. And once you have some momentum, like I imagine you're going to get quite a few members. You may have members come to you and be like, ooh, I really wish we could have a place to talk about X, Y, or Z and have it be maybe more private or closed off. And then you could consider adding a space once it's asked for.
Cool. Okay, that makes sense.
I'd love to go back to your challenge. I think that is a really smart thing to do. I would just encourage you to have a little bit more details around what is in here. So, challenge space self-led doesn't really tell me enough about what I'm going to get out of this space. And I think I love this, the sources challenge. Like, I wonder if it's even adding a page to this space, explaining what it is, what you're going to get out of it. And then I think this is a great thing to encourage people to do when they first join, especially if it's bite size, if they could just do one. And we could even set up some interesting automations that helps reward them for doing one, because I think they'll get a really great result from one of these mini challenges and get a taste for what they're going to explore in the community in a really lightweight, fun way. And you always want to push people when they join to get a result quickly if you can, which I feel like you're really set up to do here.
So this title here, like challenge space, should be, do you have a suggestion? Or
Are they all like scripture reading basically? Or
they're not all like from the Bible per se, but they're just like ancient history texts.
I would say like ancient text challenge, ancient text interpretation challenge, just a little bit more insight. And then that also
Okay.
opens the door for maybe you'll have other challenges down the line.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. How are you thinking about events in this community?
Yeah, good question. So I've set up a couple meet and greets. Now, these are not ongoing events. Like the community's still pretty small. I wanted to start seeding those kind of connections between members. So I'm actually going to do these as a Zoom. I think if the community gets really big, I won't be able to do these kind of Zoom meetings, but it's great to start to get people to know each other and just, I want to create that trust between members. So I have 2 of these, and it's just going to be hanging out, asking questions, like, what do you want to get from this community? That sort of thing. And then these are all quite far down the road, but this is one of my interviews. And then these are just the sessions. Like this scholar has agreed to do 5 sessions. So I just have them all laid out, even though they're like all the way into May. That's like a bi-weekly thing that's coming up. But I don't have any like regular events yet. And I did think about it. I think I'm almost overwhelmed knowing what to do. Do I do like office hours or do my YouTube videos, or am I overwhelming people with events? Because one of the things I know is like people are busy and I don't want to create too many things that people can't necessarily make it to, you know?
And I think that's a very valid concern. Definitely don't want to overwhelm your members or make it feel like, even in a kind of scholarly community like this, that there's a lot of homework to do. Most people are not that into homework.
Yeah, 100%.
I do think having a regular touch point, which could be an event or could be a different kind of ritual, is important for the rhythm of your community and establishing it as a habit for people. So like a couple things you could do. One is you could have a weekly meet and greet. Maybe call it, I don't know, when I was growing up going to church, they always had coffee hour, right? Like as your spin on coffee hour, and keep it really, really low key where it's just come on in, like you'll be there with your coffee or tea of choice and people can pop in. It does not have to be every week we have an expert speaker or you're teaching something. It can just be a space for people who want to show up live to do so, and keeping it at the same time and day every week, I think is also really critical. It looks like you have 2 here because you're just getting started and feeling it out. And of course, if you do have a lot of people in different time zones, that can be tricky. But I do think having it be consistent, people will get the notification it's happening. Even if they don't attend, they mentally are like, there's a cadence to this community and I can jump in at any point. The other thing you could do if you don't want to start with events is you can just start with a ritual, ask the same question in your feed every single week. Maybe it's like a check-in. Maybe it's like, what's one reflection you had this week? It doesn't have to be super intense and require an essay from people. It's a way for you to kind of take the pulse of your community and give them a space where, if nothing else, if they don't post anything all week, they know there's going to be a little prompt that they can tap into on a weekly basis. That's checking in with where they're at.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thanks so much for watching. If it inspired you to start your own Mighty Network, you can start a free 14-day trial today. Or if you already have a Mighty Network and you want me to react to your community, let us know in the comments. We'll track you down and maybe I will gently and lovingly roast you as well. If you have reactions, if you have comments, drop them below. And of course, subscribe to see the next Jane Reacts video.